Conservation parks on land have been around for well over a century in many parts of the world. The idea of a marine equivalent has been around in Australia since 1937, with the creation of the Green Island National Park off the coast of Cairns. But their widespread creation is relatively modern. This modern impetus to create marine parks stems from Australia's signing of the United Nations Convention on Biological Diversity in 1992. The convention states by 2012 Australia will establish and maintain a network of marine and coastal protected areas. The need for marine conservation areas is due to unsustainable fishing as well as other harmful human activities. This need also stems from coral bleaching and rising sea levels associated with climate change. The Commonwealth Marine Reserve Network was touted at the time of its announcement by the Australian Federal Government as being a historic step in making Australia a world leader in sustainable marine management and conservation. Given its size and its scope, criticism was quick to develop. The commercial fishermen believed it threatened their livelihoods, or the evidence for it was scientifically flawed. Coastal towns believed that the parks would reduce their tourism and therefore their economy and future viability. Some said that the marine parks were spread away from major cities due to potential voter backlash and that this lessened their effectiveness. Conservationists stated it was a good first step, but more needed to be done. The commercial fishermen's point of view regarding their livelihoods has some validity, as their profit will be affected. Their criticism of the scientists' performance has no validity, as it comes from sources that lack a relevant background and example of the flaws are not forthcoming. Coastal towns' point of view has validity in a social and profit context. These towns face a transitional period where new industry and tourism will develop. This may include periods of low tourism and low employment. The restricting of reserves away from population centres has some validity, as seen from this map. Note, a series of buffers exists on the map around major cities and mining hubs, where no reserves are present. But to say with certainty, more information would be needed. The conservationists' point of view has validity, as they accept the science of marine reserves, but list the need for more areas to be protected. This parallels with the majority of scientific opinion. The area covered by the Commonwealth Marine Reserve Network may have high conservation and economic value and needs protection, but the reserves were also created with meeting the aims of the United Nations Convention on Biological Diversity. The convention defined sustainable use as the use of elements of biodiversity in processes and at a rate that doesn't lead to less biological diversity, and to maintain current and future generational potential use. While the Commonwealth Marine Reserve Network may protect the marine park area's biological diversity, does it maintain and secure Australia's sustainable intergenerational use as a fishery? The commercial fishing industry has been in a state of decline from annual hauls of 246,000 tonnes in 2003 to 2004 to 171,500 tonnes in 2009 to 2010. This is in part a result of a decrease of fishing effort, overfishing of certain fish stock, and changing market conditions. As this graph from the Bureau of Rural Science illustrates, overfishing is an issue in Australia. Contrasting this decline is the increase of aquaculture production and imported seafood products. This trend away from local produce looks set to increase, as Australian seafood producers currently cater to only 40% of Australian consumption, and this will decline to only 25% by 2020. Although projections of future aquaculture growth show a sharp transition away from wild-caught fish production in recent times, Australia will still rely on imports, mostly from New Zealand, South Africa and Southeast Asia, to meet the growing domestic demand. In conclusion, the creation of Commonwealth Marine Reserve Network will undoubtedly conserve important marine habitats that are currently under threat. The reserve network will also fulfil Australia's commitment to the UN's Convention on Biodiversity as far as the creation of a marine park network is concerned. But the Convention also promotes sustainable use of marine resources. If Australia's consumption of fish increases but our local fish production decreases, then how are Australian marine parks adding to Australia's sustainable fisheries, as we are consuming other countries' resources in place of our own, and at ever increasing rates? That raises a moral question of exploiting foreign marine areas to save our own. Finally, among the various viewpoints on marine parks, the conservationist statements follows closest to the research that the Commonwealth Marine Reserve Network is a good first step in conserving marine habitats, but more action is needed.